Hi, I'm Madeline Maldonado with Vision Earth Channel, and I'm here at the Fairchild Gardens covering the Mango Festival.
The mangoes that have brought to the United States have been treated with heavy chemicals that are not good for us.
I said it before, but I'll say it again. All these mangoes were grown at the Fairchild farm.
So what we're really doing is, at Fairchild Garden, our mission is to cultivate both plants and people. So we use our plant collections as education tools in order to really engage, starting at a very young age, right up through junior high and high school, up to college, and all the way up to grad school. So we're really creating a green future for the world based on a better understanding of the plant diversity that's around us.
And if you can shed light on one particular issue or something that you're working on, what would it be?
Well, in our case, we are working a lot on the mangiferous species, which is the idea that these wild mangoes, they're in danger of extinction. We're losing them every day. These are plants that if we lose these fruit, they're gone forever. We're never going to get these genes back. Each one of these genes has the potential to be the new great thing for commercial, or the new great thing for backyard growing, the new great thing to engage some young person for a reason to save the planet and their environment. So we're going around collecting plants around tropical Asia, Indonesia, Malaysia, Borneo, in these areas. We bring them back here, we characterize them genetically, then from that we learn how to grow these plants better, we cross them, and then eventually we create both new novel crops and better versions of the crops we already have.
You're growing new types of mangoes. If you can give us more information about that.
What we're really trying to do is create fruit mangoes that are more resistant to diseases, more smaller trees, easier to manage. They make more money for growers, easier for a homeowner to grow, taste better, more nutritious. The whole idea is you don't want to create new products that take a great deal of input of chemicals. We're very cognizant of the fact that anything we can do to make the mango more green will be great for the consumer. It's great for all of for the homeowners. So here in the South Florida, it's great for us because we grow these mangoes in our backyard. We don't, what we do in our botanical garden is we teach our people to use very sustainable, organic growing, and we know it's extremely important.
Now, what are your views on GMOs and pesticides? That's the big issue.
We particularly are very clear that what we do is we don't work with GMOs. What we're doing is classical breeding, which means we do the old-fashioned build a cage around them, have the two trees in the cage, they get cross-pollinated, and then we grow out seedlings from that. So it's really old school. So we don't do anything in terms of GMO, and in terms of pesticides, that's really what our entire objective is with these wild mangoes, is we're trying to create things where you don't need to use pesticides. The Fairchild farm is grown in a completely organic manner. We do everything we can in order to create or take away the need for using of chemicals. We're already very far advanced in this, but we can go further so that you create really a superior product that doesn't need any of that.
I see. So if you can, I guess, talk a little bit about people growing mangoes in their own homes, how it can benefit them, how can they go about in doing so?
So the great thing is already people can do an immense amount. I mean, here in Florida, and anywhere really in the tropics and the subtropics, we have mangoes that people can grow in their yard, small spaces, even in containers that you can grow them. So you could grow them in a condo in the middle of a city. You can grow them in parks, you can grow them on roofs, you can grow them in very, very tight spaces. It's just a wonderful thing you can do. You need really nothing in terms of pesticides, so we don't use any herbicides, pesticides of any kind in our growing of mangoes. A homeowner, there's absolutely no reason. The way we look at it is, I have children, they're now a little older, but I always wanted it to open the door, let them out in the backyard, eat whatever you want, as long as, it's not poisonous, and you're not going to be worrying about toxicities, about poisonings. And of course, it's also better for the nutrition of the fruit, and all the way around is much better.
And if you can tell us about the medicinal properties about the mango, if you can.
Well, you see, with mango, we're all just primates, all right? And the mango comes from Malaysia. Borneo is one of the main areas where it comes from. It's really adapted coevolution with primates, orangutans mainly. And that was one of the great distributors of mangoes. So chemically, mangoes have a great effect on us. So medicinally, I would contend that mangoes drive us to eat them. I mean, the mangoes are really playing the great trick on us. I mean, we are just, they found a way off of Borneo, and we're more efficient than orangutans. We can take planes and carry them around, and that's a lot better for them. So medicinally, mangoes have a great deal. I mean, it's super high in vitamins, vitamin A, vitamin C. They're also high in sugar, which is good. It's good sugar. That's why we eat mangoes. We eat mangoes for sugar. Don't kid anybody. I'm not eating them for a diet food. But they have if you go into other cultures, particularly Asia, tropical America, they'll use them for sore throat treatments. They'll use mangoes for exfoliating treatments. The latex of mangoes, because mango is in the poison ivy family, and it is a very good exfoliating agent. It's used a lot in homeopathic treatments in Brazil, for instance, where I'm familiar with the use of it. It's a very, very, it has a lot of active ingredients in a mango, and it's very much alive. That's another reason that we like mangoes grown in our own environments instead of when mangoes come in or exported in general all over the world. They go through a hot water bath. It doesn't involve any chemicals, but what that does is it essentially changes the chemical composition of the skin. It takes away, I think, a little bit of it certainly takes away a little of the nutritive value of the mango, but also some of the medicinal values of the mango. The water bath that they use for the mangoes is 115 degrees Fahrenheit for about an hour that they treat them. It changes the flavor of a mango. It does change the components of the skin. It's not all bad. It also is a good way to non-chemically control the pests of the mangoes. So it's not a bad thing, but it does change it. Mango is arguably the most consumed fruit in the world. It's a very important staple product across all the tropics, Asian tropics, African tropics, American tropics. You find mango used in every form. I mean, if you go into India, for instance, I mean, they eat mango in any way you can think of. I mean, you take the small fruit, the big fruit, the medium fruit, the large fruit, the drops, everything, dry them, grind them. So it's a vitally important fruit to both the nutritional input into a family, particularly subsistence people. So that's what makes the mango such an incredible fruit, is it goes all the way from subsistence level to middle class up to the most wealthy of people. So when you go into any country, there's always kings that have great collections of mangoes. So it's consumed on all levels, and that's what makes it just so much volume of mangoes, of so much volume of fruit that's consumed. Most of that fruit never finds its way onto paper. I mean, it's not calculated, because we're talking about small villages where it's carried to market. There's nobody writing it down, people growing them in their backyard. I mean, anywhere in the tropics, that's the mango. So Fairchild Tropical Botanical Garden here in Coral Gables, Florida, we're a wonderful green space in the middle of urban Miami. And it is truly, it's a beautiful place, but the heart of what we do is always education. We are really, truly here to give people a respite from that bustling day-to-day, the busy, the noise, the take. So at least all of us here feel it's very important that we as humans, we have to have a place like Fairchild Garden to go to. Botanical gardens give you that recharging possibility in a city. So you can come here and walk around, and all of this diversity around you is what gives you that, it's very important to you whether we know it or not.
So my routine morning is get up, pick the fruit. I walk with my geese. I have geese at the farm and chickens. Those are my companions with a cup of coffee. I get the mango from the tree, and then I start doing these small mangoes. I think they have to be treated differently. So it's different, so many ways to eat a mango.
And why would you treat them differently? Let's say,
Because I feel that it's more comfortable to eat it this way. I'm sure that it has a big stone when mangoes are like this size. So you don't have any way just actually to get the two cheeks out and peel it. So, and the skin of this one is thick compared with the other mangoes, then I will eat it just directly to my mouth. So I make like a little roast, because again, this one has a completely different structure of it's very thick. You can feel that I have to pressure. Can you sense the smells of the fruit already? And then these mangoes are absolutely delicious. It tastes like lychees combined with passion fruit. And when you eat wild mangoes, normally it have this aftertaste. It's a sensation that goes through your mouth to your throat and then goes back to your nose. It's like eating cassava, the Japanese green thing. It's exactly the same sensation. And when you eat so many of these mangoes, actually your breath change. In the end, you start smelling like the mangiferas, in other words. So it's something directly with that. It's like, for example, when you are eating too much garlic, then you start smelling garlic also. It's like the durians, for example. But in my opinion, fruit had to be eaten with all your senses. Everything starts with the aroma. Fruit that doesn't have much aroma doesn't wake up our appetite. Color is important, that's obvious. So we have all this diversity of colors when you go to the grocery store, and red catches your eye. Now it's quite different because we have other codes about color. And this one, for example, has purple color, that immediately connected with health. It's antioxidant. So this is a powerful thing for me, the color of the skin of the Mangifera casturi. I don't think that we have to change anything of this fruit. I believe that we can develop up actually a market. I will dream if we can help people in Borneo, for example, that we are collecting this fruit. They have a lot of tourists, then they can develop a different market. They are helping and funding the ecosystem. If they buy the fruit, people will protect the tree and they won't get extincted. So I'm doing my research right now in economics, and I'm traveling every November, and I'm taking all this data about how much they get for the income of the house with these wild mangoes, so they can understand better. You know, sometimes now, I will say always now, when you put things with numbers, people pay attention to it. Okay, this represents 30% of the income of my family. Now we are talking about something different. When people is growing something and you put numbers on it and say, you know, I'm gardening, I can produce 10 pounds of tomatoes every year. I have lettuce and I have all these other different things that you can grow in your house, and you put numbers on it, you pay attention to it. That's directly proportional to your economics, and so you pay attention to it. So I'm trying to help in my project, in my team, to develop a strategic plan in economics with these wild species in Borneo, just to help them out to protect these species in their own area. Also, I'm recording all these different recipes. I am a forestry engineer. That's my first background. And I used to work in the forest for about 15 years in the Amazons, working with communities. And I learned from many years ago that when you are talking about rebuilding the forest, ecology, it's not that simple. You have to combine it in a language that people can understand. It's very easy, it's very comfortable for us, and we are living in the United States where the abundance is everywhere, and you can just open the top and you have water running, then you can just go to the store and get anything you want, more than you need. But when you are talking about those areas, then they have to be very creative. They eat the leaves because they don't have vegetables, a way to grow vegetables really. They eat ferns from the forest, they eat frogs, and they eat fruit in different ways. So I want to record the uses of the Mangifera species in those native areas. I think it's a lot of knowledge also for medicine purposes. So they make their own medicine for the coughing, medicine for the stomach problems, as an antioxidant, so they have their own recipes. So I'm going there on this November to record all this information and put it in my project as a companion of what we are doing in terms of breeding program, and the whole, it's like a chain, it's a progress in the progress. It's like when we start the project, it was just only conservation. The first time that I visited Borneo as a forestry, working in the Amazonian areas, for me was so peaceful. I just close my eyes and I feel the sound of the forest, and it was just the same like in Colombia, in my country. And I had that need to help and try to do something different. So we started doing all this collecting, bringing those back. It was a challenge because it's not easy to do these kind of projects. You have so many barriers to do it. So you have the protocols that you have to follow. We don't know if they match or not in order to make a new tree here in different roots. It's very complicated. But then we are advancing in the process, and it's like you are seeing other ways to help of avoid the extinction of these species. And one is the uses of the fruit. This fruit has a lot of potential. We actually here at the garden 2 years ago make a distribution of the trees. There are 200 of Mangifera casturi growing in some of these backyards around here. And this is conservation for us. If we can go beyond that and we can make this fruit more appealing to everybody, then they can see another value. In the beginning, nobody knew about chutneys, for example. Chutney is something new that came with the Indian community. They didn't have refrigeration. So they have to be creative how to conserve the fruit. So the only way to do it is use of vinegar, salt, and sugar that prevent the growth of bacteria. And they make it happen. And then they add the spices, the chiles, and now it's so popular. When I talk with any American, even any Latin, they know what I'm talking about. Chutney is part of our life, it's part of our vocabulary, it's nothing new. So I'm hoping that if I can bring some of those recipes back, so people can see this fruit with different eyes and they are willing to try it.
Tell me a little bit about Fairchild Gardens.
Fairchild Tropical Garden is a paradise here in Miami. Everybody that come to the garden will have one of the best experience for the tropics. We have one of the larger palm collections at the garden. We have a diversity of fruit trees, cactus, orchids, and a beautiful pavilion of butterflies. It's a unique place to visit. We are working heavily with the new generation, so we have programs with students from all different grades. And that's one of our strongest points of where to go is education. So we want to grow people and grow plants.
Oh my God.
Do you agree with me?
Mm-hmm. It's so rich, yeah.
And it's nice and light too. It's not a very heavy.
Mm-hmm. This is amazing. Is this your favorite one?
Yes, I love it. Oh, I have been eating so many.
Hi, I'm Madeline Maldonado with Vision Earth Channel, and I'm here at the Fairchild Gardens covering the Mango Festival.
The mangoes that have brought to the United States have been treated with heavy chemicals that are no good for us.
I said it before, but I'll say it again. All these mangoes were grown at the Fairchild farm.
So what we're really doing is, at Fairchild Garden, our mission is to cultivate both plants and people. So we use our plant collections as education tools in order to really engage, starting at a very young age, right up through junior high and high school, up to college, and all the way up to grad school. So we're really creating a green future for the world based on a better understanding of the plant diversity that's around us.
And if you can shed light on one particular issue or something that you're working on, what would it be?
Well, in our case, we are working a lot on the mangiferous species, which is the idea that these wild mangoes, they're in danger of extinction. We're losing them both new novel crops and better versions of the crops we already have.
You're growing new types of mangoes. If you can give us more information about that.
What we're really trying to do is create fruit mangoes that are more resistant to diseases, more smaller trees, easier to manage. They make more money for growers, easier for a homeowner to grow, taste better, more nutritious. The whole idea is you don't want to create new products that take a great deal of input of chemicals. We're very cognizant of the fact that these are plants that if we lose these fruit, they're gone forever. We're never going to get these genes back. Each one of these genes has the potential to be the new great thing for commercial, or the new great thing for backyard growing, the new great thing to engage some young person for a reason to save the planet and their environment. So we're going around collecting plants around tropical Asia, Indonesia, Malaysia, Borneo, in these areas. We bring them back here, we characterize them genetically, then from that, we learn how to grow these plants better. We cross them, and then eventually we create anything we can do to make the mango more green will be great for the consumer. It's great for all of, for the homeowners. So, you know, here in South Florida, it's great for us because we grow these mangoes in our backyard. We don't, what we do in our botanical garden is we do not use, we teach our people to use very sustainable, organic growing, and we know it's extremely important.
Now, what are your views on GMOs and pesticides? That's the big issue.
We particularly are very clear that what we do is we don't work with GMOs.
Yeah.
What we're doing is classical